It's Friday night. That means that while most people are out partying, having a good time, hanging with their friends, me and Joe Matz are going to talk some DFS. This is the F6P DraftKings cash game show with, again, I'm your host, Keith Flemming, my good buddy, Joe Matz, who apparently, he just told me off camera, he adopted 4 seventh graders today, which is amazing. Congrats, Joe.
Yeah, very exciting time in my life as a single father now.
I just the card was amazing. He was telling me it just to set it up. So you're like, what are you guys talking about? Uh, he had been subbing at the school he taught at last year, or last couple of years actually.
Yeah.
And the kids wanted him to sign this piece of paper where he couldn't see like what it was. They just wanted him to sign. And Joe, being like, I don't think this is a good idea. I need to talk to my legal department before signing it. Finally flipped it over, and it was like to adopt the 4 kids. So he signed it, and they joked or whatever. And then they handed him a card that said Happy Father's Day, which is just like, kids are great, man. Kids are the best. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about DFS. Joe, I need to apologize to everybody for the Justin Fields needs to be in every single lineup you have. If it makes people feel any better, I went down with the ship too, hard.
As did I.
He was in 90% of my lineups last week. So, yeah, that's on me. I stand by, where my head was at. But boy, did I lead a lot of people into the wrong direction, probably.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, in fairness, we talked it out, I think, pretty well, where we said, there's always the risk of the week 1 mirage, but Fields had a longer history of like, he's good in fantasy, even if he's not good in real life. And instead, we just got the full, everything is bad.
Well, and it hurts.
Including an injury at the end. So.
Dude, tell me about it. And then, like, nothing hurts more than the other guy. Because literally, right, we talked about 2 QBs, was Drake May, who was cheaper and scored like 26 points. And it's like, Keith, way to put him in 1/10 of your lineup. So I'm a genius, but you guys know that. But we're still at that weird spot where, me and you, we like to pick on bad defenses. Like that's been our philosophy. That's typically why our plays get better as the season goes on, because you realize what teams can't stop running backs, can't stop receivers, can't stop the pass. There's signs, right? With, obviously your Giants, no offense, the Cowboys, the Bears have given up 71 points in the last 5 quarters, which seems impossible. So there's signs, but we're still not there. But that doesn't mean that there's not, trends and stuff where we're starting to see it. The more frustrating part has just been some of the usage rates, especially for the running backs, have been insane. Same thing for really the route percentage. A lot of the guys that are on the field for the most snaps, are not putting up numbers. Same deal for the running backs. Like, you get like guys like Tony Pollard and Chase Brown are on the field every snap, and they're not scoring any points. So there's not that direct equation. But anything overall you're trying to go with this week?
I mean, there's certainly one game where I know I'm going to have multiple.
Is it the last 4 o'clock game? Cowboys, Bears?
That is correct.
Yeah.
As you said, I mean, again, I think the Bears probably have more reason to believe that over time that defense will get better, adjusting to a new defensive coordinator. Dennis Allen is running a vastly different scheme than Eberflus ran. Like Eberflus is hardcore zone guy. Dennis Allen goes pretty much in the opposite direction. So maybe that eventually gets better, although I don't think it's this week. And Dallas, I mean, it's everything we said would happen when you got rid of Micah Parsons. It's like,
and to double down on it, the Packers defense is like maybe the best in the league.
Phenomenal.
Way to go, Jerry.
We appreciate it, Jerry, even if, it just led to my heart being broken in a different way than it normally was last week.
Right. Excellent. So the quarterback position this week, the guy that I was on last week is really, it's going to be hard for me not to play him this week because we've talked about this before. I feel like you can play Drake May naked. If you want to pair him, there's a lot of great options. I mean, you can play Boudier, you can play Diggs. You can play the backs, right? Henderson and Stevenson with how much he throws
That's
the
true.
backs, Hunter Henry. But May's just so consistent. And so, again, in cash, where our first goal was 3x the salary, right? Like, let's not have any Justin Fields
Yeah.
situations from last week. I mean, he basically scores at least 15 points in every game he's played his entire NFL career. He did it week 1 despite like no rushing yards. Really not a great game. He had 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and he still scored 16 points. So you got to love that. And then what's crazy for me, Joe, is just like Drake May is playing extremely efficient football. I don't know if you saw, because you're a nerd like me, you read a lot of the same stuff, but 68 plus pass attempts. He's the only guy in the NFL with a completion percentage of 70% or higher. And him and Josh Allen are the only 2 guys to have thrown it 60 plus times and only have 1 turnover worthy, basically pass attempt. And that was not what I expected in year 2 of Drake May. We like have kind of compared him to Josh Allen, especially early Josh Allen, because man, can he make the great plays? But he's going to take some chances, right? It seems like they've already got him to adjust that. And that just makes him even safer, in my opinion, for DFS, because unlike Buffalo, who has James Cook, who's excellent, no disrespect to Ramondre Stevenson or Trayvon Henderson, they're not that guy.
They're not him, at least not yet in Henderson's case.
Right? How,
no, 100%.
Was May your favorite QB this week, or where were you at?
I mean, for me, when I looked through, the standouts were, again, the 2 guys from the Bears-Cowboys game. I think, Dak is one where fantasy-wise, again, that week 1 doesn't look good. But if you watched the game,
he was great.
He was hyper accurate. Ferguson drops a tough one where he gets hit in the end zone, but a ball that hit him in the chest in the end zone. And then CD Lamb left like 10 fantasy points just out on the field, which, as we saw the following week against my Giants, CD Lamb remains excellent. That was a fluke. So Dak has looked awesome. The Bears defense has looked horrendous. And then I wouldn't say Caleb Williams has looked awesome, but he's been productive in fantasy. And again, you look, I was quizzing my brother earlier today. I was like, who do you think the highest receiving combo is in the NFL? And he's like, I don't know, Chase and Higgins. He's guessing all these ones. And finally he's like, is it Neighbors and Wandell? And I was like, it's Neighbors and Wandell.
Yes.
They're like, I think outside of the Rams combo with Puka and Devontae, I'm pretty sure they're like 100 yards ahead of any other combo. And it's not like they lit up Washington. It's because they played the Cowboys. So, yeah, I think those 2 guys I feel great on. And then, like you said, though, May, I mean, the price point at 5,300.
That's what he went down, didn't he?
I think he did. I want to say he was 54 last week. Because, yeah, Dak's 59. I think he's incredibly safe.
Yeah, I do too.
And
he's the other guy that I have on my cheat sheet.
Caleb, there's some variance there, but the thing is, if you assume that the Cowboys are going to light up the Bears, then all right, well, Caleb Williams is going to throw a lot against a bad defense. So those 2, but yeah, when you get down to the price and you're like, well, you could save an extra 300 to 600 and throw in Drake May. Yeah, I think it's going to probably be a relatively even split, but I wouldn't be surprised if Drake May ends up in more of my lineups. You talked about the efficiency. I read today that PFF, according to multiple metrics that they have, he was the most accurate QB in the NFL last week. So, and also that offensive line played well.
Left I don't know if that's much better. Yep.
I don't know if that's something we can, consistently count on, but and Miami, bad defense so far. That's been pretty clear.
They can get pressure.
Yeah, the one thing that it's like, what they're not bad at is getting pressure. So the fact that the O-line played better, that's a win in our books. Then, again, I'm still assuming that Diggs probably ends up being the number 1 in the long term over Booty. But, if that happens, then I expect it to continue to be developing chemistry with him. And if it doesn't, then it probably means that Keyshawn Booty just turns out to be pretty solid. So, yeah, like you said, the price points on every combo outside of the running backs, who are still cheap, every receiver and tight end is under $5K for the Patriots. So if you want to do that, It costs you nothing. If you don't, it's fine because, again, May might spread it out. He might end up running 1 or 2 touchdowns in. He already got one in last week. So, yeah, I love that play. And then otherwise for me, it's that Bears-Cowboys combo.
I mean, my comp for him is like early Josh Allen, and even Allen today. Most of the time, I'm not going to stack him if I decide I'm going to play Allen. I'm just going to play Allen and not try to guess in cash. Now, obviously, GPP is different, but not try to figure out what receiver it is because you don't know. And it does feel like May's got a lot of that too. I think I saw he hit like 10 or 11 different receivers last week. So,
And the Steelers have not obviously been an excellent defense this year.
We just excellent. Joe, they've been awful.
Right. I mean, we just talked about how the giant letdown for us last week was how poor Justin Fields played. It's like, well, who did he look awesome against? Oh, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey, and for that matter, who did Sam Darnold look terrible against week 1 when he wasn't playing the Steelers? Plays the Steelers last week. He looked great.
Yeah, he still had some picks, but that's Sam Darnold for you.
Oh, Darnold's going to Darnold.
Yeah, he all 5 yards short of the 300 bonus and a couple passing touchdowns. So, yeah. I feel good about this one. I'm not scared of that matchup at all. And the other guy who's down low that I probably won't play just because I think I'll take May for the $100 cheaper. But Daniel Jones. If you can light up the Broncos, I don't know. Maybe this is again. I don't think he's going to average 25 points per game fantasy wise. They're going to go 13-4, but it looks legitimate that he. I don't think we're going to see him get benched 4 weeks from now. I don't think this is that type of situation. He has by far the best line play he's had, probably the best play calling, even though, I don't think Dayball and Kafka suck at playing calling.
No, but I think Shane Steichen's on another level.
Steichen is, to me, an elite play call. And to me, this is the proof. The fact that he was getting them to 9 wins with Gardner Minshew was already a feather in his cap, but now you're seeing Daniel Jones play lights out. You're like, oh, okay, this is something. And again, rushing touchdowns. He has 3 rushing touchdowns. That won't keep up forever. But the Titans, if the Broncos couldn't stop them, this is a road game, and the Titans haven't been horrific on defense the way they have been on offense. But I think he's very playable at 5,400. I'm just going to probably be leaning towards May at 53. So, but he's someone should be on your radar as well. Again, there's a lot, all 4 guys that we've talked about are under 6K. So, and it's not I don't feel great about playing Jalen Hurts.
I was just about to say, is it not been that way? It feels like this year in general, is that the expensive guys at most positions seem to have terrible matchups or, have injury concerns. And it just seems like there's a lot of guys this year in that 5-6K range that, I don't know. I mean, it was like JSN, week 1 and 2 being right at 6K. And it's what are we doing? Mm-hmm. We saw the volume he got last year. So I'm totally in agreement with you. Because like I said, for the cheat sheet, I have May and Dak, and that's basically it. But I'm totally cool with the Caleb play, and Jones is going to be the guy I'm kicking myself on Monday because
right. That's going to be a
20
third straight week where I'm like, fuck, if I would have had him in a lineup.
Right, exactly. So, but I'm pretty stubborn and hard headed. The backs this week again don't love the expensive guys. Who is your back? Because you were a lot better with the backs last week than I was.
Let's see. Expensive wise, listen, I'm certainly not going to talk anyone off the CMC train because he just seems to be locked in for 7 receptions every week, and that's always going to be good. But every week we've talked about, hey, if you're playing the Panthers, lock in that running back. So if I'm spending up, I'm going Bijan. Are you going to talk me out of it as the Falcons fan, or are you on the ride with me here? Yeah,
dude, you could.
We just saw him have a huge game.
Robinson and Algier, even in cash this week, if you really think Atlanta rolls, because Algier's the closer, man. He did it again in the Minnesota game. I think he ended up with 14 or 15 carries. They did this last year. I could totally see a situation where Bijan goes bananas early and then you see Algier get 10 plus carries in the second half. Carolina again 200 plus rushing yards. I know the streak ended last week, but 6 of their last 7 games, and James Conner has not looked great. So I think that's more about Arizona than anything else.
Well, and Arizona seems to have some bizarre curse on themselves in the fourth quarter where they're not allowed to score any points. So they keep almost blowing it against the dregs of the NFC South, which is to say the dregs of the NFL. So, but yeah, I mean, Bijan's coming off the 143-yard game on Sunday night against Minnesota, and now we're lining up Carolina. It's like I'm not hopping off here. And his price did not go up. Now, obviously, he wasn't in our lineups last week because, we don't do a show on the Sunday night game, but
he cost
8. Right. He cost 8. I was kind of upset. I probably saved myself because I would have had some Vikings in that too. And they didn't do anything. Too. But he was 8K week 1. He's 7,900 week 2. He's 7,900 now against as plus of a matchup as I think you can get. And he's averaging 25 points per game. Like he's
scored
the number
at least
one,
basically 23, right?
Right. Like he's had the 100-yard bonus in both games. It's just week 1 that was the receiving bonus. So again, like he does it all. The only difference between Bijan and the guys who get people a little more excited, your Saquons and your Gibbs, is that he doesn't have quite that like extra all-time special burst that those guys have. Everything else, he is as good or better than those guys. So yeah, like sign me up for him at 7,900. He's really the expensive guy that I'm trying to fit into lineups this week.
What about Taylor? That was the other guy that, like, I think you could see Indy on the road. Again, Steichen's an incredible play caller. Taylor, I think I read, hit the fastest speed for a running back, breaking Barkley's thing for like the last 5 years. And that reminds me of the guy that, led the league in rushing, then was the number 1 fantasy player. What was that, 3 years ago? And he really hasn't been the same.
I know. I feel it's like kind of weirdly long ago now, but yeah.
So maybe he's back. That would be the other one, but I'm with you about, and the other nice thing about Taylor is, I mean, I guess they could end up just destroying Tennessee. That's possible too. But I actually think you're going to see the Tennessee offense fight back a little bit this week because I don't think Indy's defense is elite by any means. And I think that Tennessee did face 2 elite defenses to start, and the Broncos and the Rams.
Yeah, that Rams defense is, this is not the Rams defense from a couple of years ago. This is they've got some dudes, especially in the trenches, that are going to come after you
up front.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So, obviously, we've seen the Colts throttle one offense completely down, but that was a Miami team which has somewhat bounced back, at least offensively, where they've looked alive. But
there's a pulse.
Right, but I mean, Bo Nix couldn't do anything against the Titans team that we're talking about here, and then he looked like the Bo Nix more that you wanted to see down the stretch last year, the guy they want to see this year. I mean, they should have won that game. Obviously, you can argue that call, I guess, but whether it's a stupid play or a stupid call, it's like Denver should have won. And
they gave that game away anyway. I don't want to hear any complaining from Denver fans or whatever. It's like, yeah, they got screwed on that call, but they gave that game away.
It was a weird one at the end because it was also like Steichen inexplicably was like, I'm fine with a 60-yard field goal. And
right.
Like, Brandon Aubrey's not your kicker, so that doesn't seem like a good choice. And so, yeah, it was kind of like each team just trading like, no, you take it at the end after like a really well-played game prior to that. But yeah,
hold on. I gotta stop you real quick. So you're one of the smartest guys I know, and I always want to know your opinion on this, especially for these kind of decisions. Did you think it was brilliant, or what the hell were you doing when the Cowboys ran the 4-yard draw for like, what was it, a 64-yarder to send it to overtime? And that was the plan. Like, it just had to be the way it was.
Yeah,
it was
clearly the plan.
Is that what you would do in that situation, or would you not try to get a few more yards?
I mean, the thing is, I think it was the perfect play call. The problem, which I think it was Greg Olson on the call, but whoever it was like, well, the running back, he knows his main thing is don't run for too long.
Right.
Because he drops with like 5 seconds left.
Well, that's
And
what
there
I'm
was
saying, Joe. Like,
and there was
if
no
it
one
had been
around
a
him. Like
second left,
if
I would
he would have
understand it.
run,
So
if
you're just
he
saying the
could,
running back Javonte's an idiot, or he has no concept.
I'm not
of
saying
time.
he's an idiot.
He has
I'm
no
saying,
concept of time.
Yeah, and again, like you'd rather him err on the side of, hey, let's make sure our super late kicker gets a chance versus I fucking blew it and I ran 1 second too long. But like that call could have netted at least, I think, another 5 yards. Now, considering how soft the fucking zone was on the previous play, I probably would have just passed again.
Yeah.
But I mean, shit. After what he did in that game, I mean, that kick was good from 70 yards. So to me
I believe he could kick it from one end zone to the other if he had to.
If it's in Denver or it's in a dome, yeah, I would consider 70 and under to be within his range. So I mean, it worked. And it did, like I said, didn't barely work. It clearly easily worked. So yeah, turns out good call to run a draw to set up a 64-yard field goal.
And see, people were questioning the head coaching hire by Jerry.
That's right.
I'm with you. So we got basically, again, I think Bijan is the play, but Jonathan Taylor to me is interesting.
I can't say like I'm against the Jonathan Taylor play. Like we said, that offense is functioning at the highest level. We've seen it function under Steichen. And you're facing a Titans team that, presumably you will be in command most of the second half of this game. And that's just going to be more Jonathan Taylor.
And just made Blake Corum look like a good NFL running back.
Not Kyren Williams, but Blake Corum.
No, not Kyren Williams. I appreciate them taking away that touchdown I needed from Kyren too in the red zone, but good for Blake Corum. But I think there's a treasure trove from like 6,100 down. I mean, it is, I'm serious, like, especially if Charbonnet's out, which it's looking like he will be, like Williams 6,100, shootout, sign me up. Travis Etienne versus Houston, like Jacksonville by far the most rushing yards before contact. That's the Liam Cohen effect. We saw it in Tampa last year. We're seeing it at Jacksonville this year. Again, Walker, great play. Jalen Wright, they're talking about they need to get him the ball more. New England has one of the better pass rushes. What happens when, there's a lot of pressure? Rodgers is going to dump it off more to the backs, tight ends, so he can end up, leading the team in rush attempts, even receptions. And then Jordan Mason, again, at 5,400 to me is also a smash consideration. And then you could talk me into either one of the New England running backs because, again, Pittsburgh's defense sucks. Like, you were trying to sugarcoat. It's bad, man. Like, the Jets and Seahawks, I don't think anybody had them as, like, juggernaut offenses this year, even people that were high on them. And they both scored 30
points. And they weren't in their other
two
games, like you said.
Right. And they scored 30 points on Pittsburgh and just really moved the ball at will. Over 6 yards per play is pretty significant. And when, again, in their other two games, they both were averaging, like, just over 3 yards per play. So, I mean, it's almost like just take your pick. But I think, with all that value, you have to play a Bijan or a Taylor because it's rare that
get one of them at least. Yeah.
Yeah. You could, like have this many options that I feel good about in that price range.
Yeah. Ken Walker to me is really because Charbonnet's doubtful now.
Right.
So
yeah.
And he's been on the field more. He is, I know he doesn't have any receptions, but he's got more snaps. He's got more carries. Obviously, last week, the production was vastly different, where Walker's running for
18 points to 1. And,
15 carries for 10 yards, which is absurd for Charbonnet. And to be fair, I think a lot of that was him getting hit behind the line. But then, you get Walker busting for over 100 on 13 carries. And now, if we're presumably removing Charbonnet from the equation this week. I mean, Ken Walker, he has his issues. He doesn't always hit the hole exactly where you want him, but it's like his PFF grade. He's over 80, 3 straight seasons on his PFF grade. He's number 1 graded running back so far this season. And again, you're facing a team where we presume the game script is going to be positive. You're at home against New Orleans, and New Orleans has been not the train wreck I think a lot of people, including myself, thought they would be.
Right.
But this is at Seattle is a different vibe. And that defense is good. I don't think this is going to be particularly close. And I certainly don't see some situation where it's like, oh my God, like they're down, Seattle's down, and they got to pass a bunch. And even then, Walker's caught a few passes, so I don't think that would be the end of the world. But yeah, I just think with the talent level that he has, the game script that we would presume we'll get, and then now him being, just no obstacle to him just being the full-on lead back for this week. He's a slam play. And then Mason is kind of like the lesser version of that, where, you get Aaron Jones out of the way. Obviously the QB thing, it's there, but how much does it matter?
Thank you.
It's not like JJ McCarthy played really well for one quarter that we've seen.
The Falcons look like the 85 Bears, Joe Matz. And me and you both know the Falcons are not the 85 Bears.
So I just don't see Carson Wentz as some huge downgrade there. That Cincinnati defense has been able to force some turnovers, but otherwise it's, does it look more competent than last year? Sure. That's a really low bar. And then also, you played Cleveland week 1, that barely counts. So Mason, on the year, 24 carries, 98 yards, that's kind of whatever, 3 receptions.
He's a bell cow though, man. Like he needs, I feel like, a bunch of carries, right, to have a big game. Yep.
And then Cincinnati so far this year, 31st against running backs. I mean, Travis Etienne, I think, is second in the league in rushing. He just had a 100-yard game against the Cincinnati Bengals. So, and I think Mason's solid. Like, there's a reason why San Francisco was like, oh, we got to make some trades and stuff because we don't feel like we have the proper backs after CMC after they let Mason go. So,
and they wanted to sign him too. They just literally could not do it. They didn't have the money.
Yeah, he became too expensive, which, I don't blame them. I'm not going to pay a bunch of money to my second running back if my top guy's CMC. But yeah, to me, those are the 3 guys I'm really looking at. I would say, like you said, if you want to go a little cheaper than Bijan and want to save that $700, you throw Jonathan Taylor in. I don't think that's crazy. Bucky Irving, I would also throw in there.
I was going to ask you about
a Bucky. Jets defense that
what's up with them, man? That's like the same Jets unit defense from 2 years ago that was 3rd in EPA on defense. Now, they're another team, though, that completely changing systems.
Yes.
And that, that's my one concern with Bucky is that in cash, I think I would rather play Taylor if I'm not going to play Bijan for sure than Bucky, just because what if the Jets continue to, figure this thing out. Like, it's not going to shock me if, like, in one of the next few weeks, the Jets have a really good performance. They still have a lot of good dudes on defense.
And I do think there's a little bit, like, Bucky, it's too early to say this for sure. But I think there's the question of, you mentioned the Liam Cohen yards before contact, how that Jacksonville run game now is just so much more efficient. That Bucs run game the year before Cohen was there under Dave Canales, who did a good enough job that he got hired as the head coach of the Panthers. They were bad. It was not a good run game. Tristan Wirfs is still out. He is 108 yards on 31 carries, which, if
they have not ran the
do
ball
the quick math in your head, not very good. They were okay against Houston. They were bad against them. Maybe Atlanta has a good run D. But
from your lips to God's ears, Joe Matz.
But the where he got the really big fantasy points down the stretch, especially in PPR, and I know this because he was against me in my PPR league. He got 6 catches for 50 yards. I think at least half of that came on like the last drive. So there's a chance if that maybe it changes once Wirfs gets back and this offensive line coalesces a little more. But Bucky might be a guy who actually has slightly more value in games where you think they might be trailing just because the pass game is going to factor in more. So maybe that's not this week. I don't think he's a bad play, but I think probably I'd rather spend the $100 and go with Taylor. And certainly if I have it, I'd much rather. Again, when it comes to Bijan, though, I'm primarily going to be building lineups around Bijan. So he's going to be in most of them, and then it's probably going to be Walker and or Mason filling in around him. Is there anyone you like cheaper than Mason? Is there like, I know there didn't hit me as like an obvious like under 5K, this is a play type of dude this week.
I mean, you could easily talk me into Stevenson. I mean, he's been a factor in both of the games. The Henderson struggling blocking is the main reason I think, at least for the next couple of weeks, he's going to continue to get. And we talked about the Steelers; they've been really bad versus the run. Brees Hall is another example of a guy that just ran all over, and then Buffalo without Oliver playing at tackle last week, like he did nothing. And then again, like I am serious about Algier at 4,700. If you really
Oh,
think
that's right. You did
the
mention
Falcons
Algier.
are gonna,
That's a good one.
beat up on Carolina, which God, if they don't,
Yeah, I was
they're
gonna say
already
you're really
teasing
hoping
me,
they
right?
do.
They're already teasing me, Joe, early
This
in the
does feel
season.
like this is a really interesting week for me. Like, in what teams do I just have no hope for, and what teams is it like, oh, the first, what we've seen from the good from this team is maybe slightly overrated. And it's you guys in the Colts, because week 1 you're right there. You may arguably should have beaten
Oh,
the
they blew
Bucks.
that game. Yeah, they blew.
Yeah, and then week 2 kick Minnesota's ass, and now it's like, all right, now you got to go on the road, divisional game, but it's the Panthers. Like, this should be, but
Yeah.
like we said, it should be an easy win. That's what it feels like it should be. But then, like, yeah, what if it turns into like T-Max catching a touchdown with 30 seconds left to put them up 5 and they win the game? And then likewise with the Colts against the Titans, it's like, all right, if you're 3-0 and they run through the Titans the way that, again, we think they should, then it's like, all right, this team is the surefire favorite in that division, especially with, Houston potentially could be 0-3. So, but on the other hand, again, you guys lose this game. It's like, all right, Atlanta, maybe it's not there yet.
No, it's if we lose this game, it's definitely not there.
And then with the Colts, then if the Colts lose this game, then the whole thing becomes, oh, they should have lost week 2. This team should be 1-2. They're not real. So, I mean, is that overreacting narratively? Maybe. But these do feel like the sort of games where it's like, all right, if you are a legitimate playoff team, these are the games you win. And then fantasy-wise, these are the games where Bijan and Taylor, that's what you should be destroying the other team with.
Right.
So,
and that's one thing I will give Morris. He does that. Like, it's, I mean, it does make sense, too. Algier is more of a closer. Like, if we have a lead, you just give him the ball. He's going to get 3-4 yards every single time. Like, where Bijan can bust at any point, but there's a lot of stuff runs for Bijan.
If you have a guy you trust.
Oh, and he's never fumbled in the NFL, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Never.
So, right. And, like, he's been a 1,000-yard rusher before, so it's not like he doesn't have talent. You trust his hands to hold on to the football. That's what I love having those guys, because the most annoying thing in the world is you have, a Saquon, a CMC, a Bijan, and you're just running him straight into the line to try to run clock at the end of the game, and everyone knows what you're doing. Everyone's coming in there to try to slam the shit out of him to get the ball out. And then the guy gets hurt, and you're like, we were up 10 with 3 minutes left. Like, maybe this wasn't the best use of our super talented player. So, yeah, I love having an Algier type for that. So, yeah,
let me ask you one thing.
You're right. That's the play.
The receivers, Joe.
Yeah.
Is it a Freaky Friday situation with Chuba Hubbard and Alvin Kamara? Because now Chuba Hubbard's gone from averaging like 4 points per game for his career in the passing game to he's averaging 14 through 2 games. And then Kamara is all of a sudden now just non-existent in the passing game and is just a straight up running back. They played each other last week. Do you think they're in a Freaky Friday situation?
That is an interesting one. Do we think like is it going to switch back now? Is this like
they do play again later this year?
I was going to say is this my other reference I always love is Thunderstruck, the terrible but should not be forgotten Kevin Durant movie.
Yes,
but yeah, like. Do they swap back? Does like they played last week? Will Kamara suddenly be vintage?
They'll have
Kamara
to, Joe.
Week?
We have to see if they learn, enough to be able to swap back. We just saw this again play out on Wednesday.
Have they earned it?
My wife just finished the second half of Wednesday, so same thing. That was a Freaky Friday situation. All right,
I didn't know
we
that.
got a question.
Wednesday.
Oh, my bad. Spoilers for people who have not watched Wednesday yet. How dare me? So we got a question here. For wide receiver 1, 2, 3, and flex. Let's see. Juan's got Quentin Johnson, Debo, Devontae, Franklin, Boudier, Hollywood Brown. The backs, Henderson. Well, we can already say Charbonnet, no. It looks like
Probably,
he is
yeah.
doubtful. So
Don't think
I
so.
would make sure to at least take him out so you don't, do what I always do and leave him in there. Jacobs has got a really tough matchup with the Browns, but I don't.
Well,
You're
you're
definitely starting Taylor.
not gonna
You have to
bench.
start
You're still not
Jacobs.
gonna bench
No, I
Jacobs.
agree. Yeah,
you have to gotta stick with him.
Oh, wait a minute. No, he's actually just asking for a flex. So,
Yeah, those two are his starters, and then Juwan Johnson, nice job getting a decent backup.
Oh, I see. I got you. My bad.
So, receiver 1, 2, and 3. I mean, I think you got to play.
You got to go Debo. You got to go Devontae Adams. To me, those are the defense. You got to, and actually, you got to start Quentin Johnson too. I love Franklin and like the usage he's getting, everything, but I mean, Quentin Johnston now, I think it's over the last 7 games, top 5 receiver in receiving yards, and he just seems to score a touchdown all the freaking time. So I guess the real question is just like, which of those backs would it be, Chubb or Henderson, right? Or I guess it's a flex, so he could start any of them, right?
It could be anyone, yeah. I will say, because of the matchup, I think I'd still go with Johnston with you, but that Denver matchup is still kind of a tough one for wide receivers. So I see why it's a question. Charbonnet, Henderson, or Chubb. Ooh, this is a tough one because, like, I am interested in all these guys. Like, these are all guys.
Throw out Charbonnet because he's probably not going to.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Chubb, Henderson, because like
make it a little easier for you, Joe.
Booty and Franklin are 2 guys that I'm at least considering for DFS lineups. So this is a very interesting team.
It's a really good team.
Does one stand out to you, like for the flex play?
I would probably, if it's a PPR, I'd definitely start Franklin. If it's a traditional scoring, I'd throw in Henderson. I would hope you get the pop game from him because I do think he's going to continue to get used.
Yeah.
And again, the Steelers are really bad. Remember, Breece Hall ran wild, and then Kenneth Walker, look at his stats from week 1, and then he ran for over 8 yards a carry week 2. And the Steelers still have a ton of guys out. Highsmith, all their studs are. But Juan, thank you for the question, buddy. Hope that helps.
I mean, yeah. Like you said, Franklin, 15 targets through the first 2 weeks. So, yeah, I think if it's full PPR, I think you're right. That's got to be the play.
Full PPR. So, there you go. Look at that. So I'm clairvoyant.
We're on Franklin then.
Clairvoyant. Yeah, I can't even spell clairvoyant. The wide receiver position. CeeDee Lamb, once he went, like I was thinking maybe I was going to fade him this week, and then he went out and said he's got, what'd he say, some scary stuff or special stuff in store for the Bears, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm playing him. 8K after last week, and I can't quit saying they've given up 71 points in 5 quarters. That seems impossible, Joe.
It's quite bad.
I wonder if that's a record.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about it because, obviously that one good quarter for Minnesota was the 4th. So it's got to be up there because obviously you usually see like 1 50-point game, 1 or 2 50-point games in a given season. And then, then you're tacking on the quarter preceding or following it. Was it like an extra 20 points?
I mean, even if you scored 63 points, you need 9 points in the next quarter.
Right. You still have to score twice.
So I guess you're agreeing on the Lamb thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, to me, again, Bijan's the running back this week to me. I can see the Chase argument, obviously. Like he actually just gets peppered with more targets when it's Browning. He's not sufficient, though.
If you look at his point totals, they're not that good, Joe. Like, yes, he does get consistent volume, but his fantasy totals are doesn't have very many breakout games with Browning. He has a couple of really big ones, but overall, he's got a lot of very pedestrian stat lines.
But yeah, I mean, CD, like we said, CD, you're looking at the points he's got this year, and you're going like, oh man, that's awesome, 22 points per game. But again, he left 10 on the table in week 1
against a very good defense with a very good secondary.
So he's either right behind or right with Puka Nacua for fantasy points per game so far this season if he doesn't drop those passes. But he's, second, I think? Yeah, second in the league in air yards at 303. He's second in first read targets.
So much for Pickens eating into his first read targets and, air yard
now,
share.
Pickens and Jake Ferguson are like battling it out for the number 2 targeted guy in this offense. And CD is just running away with it, which, CD's awesome. So that's not.
But that's why you had to get him some help, right? Like now that there's actually
give
multiple
enough,
other weapons,
enough.
That defenses have to respect it. Because we saw, like last week, I feel like we really saw the Cowboys' passing game potential. Like their defense is going to stink. But I'm sorry, like you got Dak Prescott with these weapons. Like, I mean, like watching George Pickens too. Like, I think the Cowboys are going to be in a bunch of shootout.
Who said they were poor man's Bengals, and then now Joe Burrow's gone. So now they are
the Bengals.
They're the good version. So
at least they're the best at something, Joe.
That's right. And then the Bears, unsurprisingly, last week, given how many points they gave up, 266 yards and 4 touchdowns to opposing receivers. Obviously, a lot of that's Amon-Ra St. Brown, but who's the equivalent to Amon-Ra St. Brown in this offense? It's CeeDee Lamb. So
and J-Mo, which is also good probably for Pickens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, could be good for Pickens too. I mean, I'm not against any the running backs. I don't necessarily trust the talent, but I think there will be opportunity in this game. The receiving, like I want multiple players in some way or shape from this game in my lineups, because I just think neither of these teams has shown a strong ability to stop anyone through the air. So, and again, Dak playing super well. Caleb not playing super well, but I think clearly playing better, I would say, than he played last year, which is not a surprise because Ben Johnson, guys, the whole team got just completely blown up last week by the Lions, who were clearly very motivated to face their former OC and prove that week 1 was a fluke, which also just makes that Packers defense look better. But yeah, I'm all in on this game, and I'm all in on CD. And I mean, Rome Odunze,
there we go.
You skip
go
way ahead. Obviously,
let's do it.
There's guys in between we'll talk about, but Rome Odunze at 5,300 is absurd to me.
100% of my lineups this week. 100%.
Like, I'm confused. Like, again, it's one of those. Last week it was confusing because he dropped from 51 to 48 after a 15-point game, and then he put up fucking 35. So he is, again, will touchdown regression happen at some point? Obviously, you're not going to catch 3 touchdowns every 2 games. But the fact that he has 13 receptions and 20 targets in those 2 games, that's the bigger tell, is that, again, DJ Moore cost you an extra 100, and I don't know why you'd pay it. Odunze looks like the number 1 guy in this offense.
Looks like he's 9th in targets, Joe.
He is so far, right? 7th in air yards.
In red zone targets share. Yeah. 2nd in expected fantasy points. And you know how much the Cowboys run zone? 100% of the time so far this season. That is not me with hyperbole. Literally, they've ran it 100. They hadn't ran man yet this year.
And it sure seems like if you just run up the seams, they'll forget to cover you.
Well, I mean, Odunze, and granted, it's a small sample size, but this season he is averaging 3.49 fantasy points per target versus zone. Well, so I would too. And again, he's 5,300. Like,
right. I don't understand it. I get you're not going to you're probably not going to overreact. He's not going to suddenly be like 6,300, but the idea that he's at least not closing in on 6 and is still behind DJ Moore, who I've always liked DJ Moore. I still think he's a solid player, but yeah, there's nothing we've seen through these 2 weeks that suggests Moore is still the number 1. It's like we just listed the stats. Odunze, by every metric, is the number 1 receiver in this offense. He's facing a team that has not been able to stop anyone through the air.
Darren Bland is questionable.
I guess they contain the Eagles, but the Eagles haven't even attempted a pass between 10 and 19 yards this season. Like, that Eagles offense is fucking weird. And yes, I think part of it is that Jalen Hurts has very clear limitations, and Eagles fans can get angry about it. Like, just, it's like he said, like, we fucking won. Like, chill out, Eagles fans.
He doesn't care, obviously, or he wouldn't be saying that at the end of the game.
It's so weird to me. Like, they're not the only fan base that does this, but it's like, they'll be like, oh, we have the best O-line, we got the best D-line, we got the best. And you're like, all right, so you have the best everything, but you can't accept the idea that your quarterback might be like the 10th best quarterback. Like, no, he won, so he's top 5. And
he's the perfect quarterback for that team.
Right, he works for that team. The great offensive line, stresses you out with his legs, which, the Cowboys, that's the thing about the Cowboys, actually, is whatever the thing is that you need to stop, they can't do it. Week 1, it's like, yeah, they can stop the passes to the outside. But the thing you actually needed to stop was Jalen Hurts' legs in key situations. No chance, couldn't do it. Last week, Giants can't run the ball consistently at all.
Well, except for when your boy Cam Scatterboo got in there.
Well, he got a couple good runs in. But
he had some really good runs.
And I don't think any of the limitations of the run game are his fault. I think they're entirely the offensive lines.
I think, though, he's going to take over that backfield real soon.
It seems like we're already trending that way pretty fast. I thought it might happen towards the end of the season, maybe.
I did too.
It seems like it's happening immediately. My drafts, some of my draft choices would have been different if we could go back. But yeah, what's the thing you got to stop with the Giants? It's fucking Russell Wilson. You got to stop the deep ball. Couldn't stop the deep ball when there was under a minute left and you were up by 4.
In their defense, the one to Robinson and to Neighbors, there was 2 dudes there. They just did a pretty bad job of defending him.
But also the receivers were still behind them. Like, they're trying to catch up.
I'm agreeing. I'm just saying that there was 2 defenders who were supposed to be there.
Like, Wandell this year, the joke was, like, here's the guy who's just it's all fake. It's just PPR, 93 catches for 699 yards last season. He has 197 yards and 18 targets this year, and that's basically just the Cowboys' fault. Like, he is averaging over 10 yards, almost 11 yards per target, and this is a guy who averaged 7.5 yards per reception last year. So, again, fire up the Bears. If you want to throw you could talk me into just fucking do it all. Just go Caleb, throw DJ in there, throw Dunze in there. You'll have money to spend elsewhere. You could talk me into that, including CeeDee Lamb. But yeah, 100% Roma Dunze. There's just no reason for him not to be in your lineup. And again, if for whatever reason the Cowboys wake up, they figure out how to play some defense, or they decide to just bracket a Dunze and leave other guys open, it's 5,400. This is not even going to murder us if it turns out shockingly to be wrong, because I will be shocked if he has an egg of a game.
Yeah, I think 10 points is his floor. Like his floor. If he doesn't, 100%. Obviously, if he gets hurt or something, that's different. But you know,
sure. I mean,
by me saying it, I have to preference that because we don't want jinx. So Debo for me is the guy that
the other one.
I just think is an insane value. And I know some people are probably going to be scared off by Mariota. I think it's the opposite. Mariota's not going to be pushing the ball down the field. Who's there underneath, target? It's Debo. And I mean, that's been the case anyway. Mm-hmm. And the big thing is he's been in the slot over 70% of the time for the Commanders. It's a great stat. I believe it was Fantasy Points that put this out, but if you look over the last 3 years, Debo in the slot, 7th most yards per route run of any wide receiver in football. So, I mean, it's that simple to me. And again, it's a good matchup, because Vegas gets pressure too. I mean, it's just so many things that to me sound like a lot of short passes from Mariota to Debo. And don't be surprised with Daniels out. Maybe they, unleash Debo as a runner a little bit more as well. So I just think him at 6,100 is a great value too.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Mine probably won't surprise anyone who listened to us last week. I'm JSN. Keep firing him up.
I like
6,500. Again, like his is going up. He jumped 500. Which that's an appropriate jump. But at the same time, it's like he's 6,500. How many receivers have been more productive? Malik Neighbors is the only guy with more yards this season. Puka is the only guy, not counting Devon Achane, who's played an extra game. Puka is the only guy with more receptions. And the big scary thing in a matchup like the Saints is like, all right, what if we get up big? There's just not that many passes to go around. He has a 44% target share. He has 61% of their air yards.
Well, I mean, in fairness, who else are they going to throw it to?
Right. But that's the point. Is like even in the matchups where you're like, well, Darnold only throws 25 passes in this game. All right, 10 of them are going to be the JSN. So who cares? Like, if we ever end up in a situation where it's like, oh, this team might blow the socks off of Seattle and Darnold's going to have to drop back 40 times, then I'm going to be doing backflips. So, yeah, to me, JSN, until he hits the sevens, I think he's just like, I'm putting him in my lineup every single week. I just don't see a reason not to.
No, that's an amazing case. And it's, again, you talked me into him last week. Thank you. You talked me into week 1. Thank you. And yet again, he was off my radar, and you just talked me into him. And I will be playing him. Juwan Jennings, I want to make sure that he's healthy. But him at 5K versus Arizona that could potentially be missing 2 corners. They gave up 17 receptions in week 1 and week 2 to wide receivers. A reminder, they played the Panthers and the Saints. I love Juwan Jennings. I actually think Mac Jones has a chance to be better for this offense than Brock Purdy. And I'm a big Purdy fan, but
Interesting.
Shanahan really wanted this dude, and I don't know what it is, right? Like, I'm not a quarterback whisperer. I don't know, what these guys see, but Shanahan has had another one of these OCs, right? That's had success with a wild variety of quarterbacks and guys that, like Jimmy Garoppolo and stuff that don't really make a lot of sense. Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft, right?
Yeah.
He wanted Mac Jones. And then the first time Mac Jones was like really available, he went and got him, right? So yeah. I liked what I saw week 1, man, especially the third down stuff. I don't think he's going to take the chances that Purdy does, which I think that's sometimes what frustrates Shanahan. And I think they're just going to have a lot more sustained drives. And you're going to see what you saw from Jennings last week, where guys like Jennings, McCaffrey, who are really good after the catch, they're going to get the most targets. I saw Jennings was 5th and yards after the catch over expectation. That's what Jennings does, right? Like, he's so good after he catches the ball. If he's going to get 10 targets like he did last week, I'm in, man. And what other receivers they're going to throw to? It's him and Purcell right now. That's it.
Right. I think that one makes a lot of sense. Like, it's kind of a situation there where just take the cheaper guy, just always. Because I don't think, like, maybe we'll discover that there's a clear hierarchy. Like, obviously Jennings had 10 targets last week, which, like, all right, maybe that means he's the number one. But, Pearsall's had at least 6 both weeks. He had a 100-yard game week 1. So right now, for me, again, obviously it's assuming Jennings is healthy. But yeah, and any given week until Kittle or Ayuk returns, you're just slot in the lower paid guy of those wide receivers. Because that offense is not going to – it would take so much for that offense to just go off the rails and be terrible. Like, it's almost considering how smart Shanahan is, and knock on wood, still got McCaffrey to work with. Like, that offense will continue to function. So lock one of those guys in. And if Jennings doesn't play, then yeah, I'm throwing in Pearsall into a million lineups.
I'm with you.
And then dropping down again. I think if you're as high on May as we are, you got to at least be looking down here. My lean is Booty, just because obviously last week is a little scary. You get the one single target and it turned out to be a touchdown, and that prevented it from being a goose egg. But I don't know. I just, at this point, I trust their chemistry more than anyone else's.
He's still playing X receiver, which is huge.
Right.
In that offense.
And 79% route rate is not like, we're not like super excited about it. But when you're talking about guys who are going to cost you $4,600, we're not complaining about that either. And it's a higher percentage than Diggs is playing. So to me, if I'm going wide receiver with the Patriots, and in some of my lineups, I think I will, because I'm throwing Drake May in there, that's one that I'm definitely looking at. And then obviously, a guy we talk about, pretty consistently, Cedric Tillman.
Yes.
It's going to be tough because obviously you're facing a defense that is not fucking around. But again, we assume they're going to be getting their asses kicked. They're going to have to drop back to pass. He has 15 targets over the 2 weeks. It has not led to a lot of yardage, but it has led to a touchdown both weeks. And while there's going to be touchdown regression because in an offense that doesn't score a lot of points, you're not going to consistently.
You don't think he's going to score 17 touchdowns this year, one in each game, Joe?
Imagine if you could parlay that and it hit. You'd be just like, all right, well, I now own DraftKings.
Yeah, right.
But the yardage has to regress.
They'd never see it coming, Joe.
Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think Tillman's going to be some guy who's going to average 18 yards per catch or something. But he has, again, 74 yards on 15 targets. So that's just under 5 yards per target. That's going to regress in a positive direction. So if you're going cheap, again, you're going to struggle to find guys with that consistency of seeing the ball when you get into the mid and lower 4,000. So he's a guy who I think has to be on your radar. And then Franklin.
Well, I got one cheaper than that.
All right, give me. Who's even cheaper than Franklin?
Your boy, Eric Ayomanor. Is that how you say it? Ayomanor? How do you say it?
I actually don't know how to say it.
Well, he's a Titans receiver. I mean, if you look at the numbers.
He showed up last week, yeah.
It's not even that. It's the target share, yards per route run. Like, everything's almost identical for him and Calvin Ridley, showing he is, like, really more of a one. Oh, there goes Joe. We lost Joe. He was so upset with that take. And it's actually Ellick. I said Eric. That's probably why he's like, I don't know how to pronounce it. But, I mean, their utilization is almost identical. They played the Rams and the Broncos. Not exactly an easing starting point for an offense, especially with a rookie quarterback. He's a rookie wide receiver. I just think Indy's going to have, they're banged up in the secondary. I just think Tennessee's offense is going to look a little bit better. And, I mean, each week he's got at least 6 targets. I like that. For somebody 3,700, that, I mean, his number last week, the 15, when you're hitting like that 5x of somebody's salary, that's the dream. Hopefully Joe comes back. Again, I guess I offended him by calling him Eric Ayomanor instead of Ellick. I don't know. You know Joe. He's a jerk. The tight end position, I really wish Brock Bowers was healthy, because if he was, he would be a smash play for me at 6K. We saw Tucker Kraft Mac and Cheese just obliterate this Washington secondary last week. And as much as I like Tucker Kraft, he is no Brock Bowers. But I just think Bowers looked banged up last week, and it's probably not going to help. It's a short week for the Raiders. So I don't know if I can play him. If Joe gets back on here, I'll ask. There he is right there. We can ask him. Hey, buddy. I figured I offended you by not only did I butcher his last name, I got his first name wrong. It's not Eric, it's Ellick. But
yeah, it is Ellick, yeah.
We moved on to the tight ends, and
all right.
You know I'm a Brock Bowers guy. I am a little nervous about playing him this week in what otherwise would be just a fantastic matchup, because I'm worried that he's banged up. Like, watching him Monday, it's a short week. Despite, like, Tucker Kraft Mac and Cheese just going bananas, right, on Washington. And Bowers is, no offense to the Tucker Kraft fans, he is the real deal. Tucker Kraft is like the undercard. I just don't know if I can pay even 6K for him in cash. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right about everything you said, where it's like, this is a good matchup. And so there's opportunity there, but at the same time, we are talking about the most expensive tight end who did not look totally, obviously that's not the Brock Bowers we're used to seeing. And it's a short week of rest. Michael Myers, a guy who can step in and play at least some of that role.
The dude from Halloween?
It's Mayor, isn't it?
I'm kidding.
But
hold on real quick, Joe.
Yeah.
We got Dion. If you could do me a favor, because I want to answer your question.
Right. Who are your other receivers?
There you go. That's what I want. If you'll put those there, we'll definitely let you know. I have concerns, but it would depend on who else you got on your roster.
Yeah. I'm not all out like you got to bail, because like we said earlier, I don't I think this is a good enough offense that I still think it'll function relatively well, especially in this matchup. This is not the like, oh no, Marcus Mariota. It's like that's the Raiders. So. But yeah, I think I'm probably with you. Like maybe I throw Bowers into one lineup or something, but yeah, that's probably not where I'm going to end up going for
Same
most
boat
of
with
my
Tyler
lineups.
Warren, depending because of the questionable
Right.
tag, and like we don't like. Does that concern you too? Because I'm kind of. It's mainly because of the guy that's at 3,900, and actually two guys at 3,900, and the guy at 4,000. Like those are the reason why I'm okay like punting on Warren and Bowers this week, even with good matchups, even with their incredible usage week to week. Is I could play
And then
Ferguson, I could play Johnson, I could play Pitts, and they all three
and
have
then
incredible matchups.
and then Trey McBride does not have an incredible matchup because the 49ers are generally one of the better
Of
defenses
course, we
against
said
tight
that
ends.
last week. I did,
That's
and then
true.
Jawan
Last week
Johnson
it
went
was productive.
bananas.
Right. I at least I'm glad I mentioned Jawan Johnson last week, but then I was like, well, this week's probably not the week that we worry about this because he's playing the Niners. And then he turned out to be basically, I mean, not statistically, there's some differences, but overall production, it was like a repeat of week one. And so I assume one of those two guys that you're talking about at 3,900 is Jawan Johnson.
It's Jawan Johnson, Kyle Pitts, and then Jake Ferguson. Like, I love all three of those guys. Johnson being my favorite. There are numbers, though,
Same.
that Kyle Pitts versus cover three has been by far the coverage he has done the most damage in his NFL career against. Carolina Panthers run as much cover three as any team in the NFL. And it actually tracks. If you look, Pitts has had multiple good games versus Carolina in the last year.
Like, if anything, like the Panthers game scares me in that I have to hold myself back from playing too many Falcons. Because part of me too is like Drake London is cheap now, and I still think like week one he should have had a huge week.
Yep.
Like I'm like that bounce back is coming, and it could be this week. But yeah, I think when you're looking at outside of Bijan, when you look at the price point, because obviously if we play Pitts and he does a classic Kyle Pitts game,
Yeah.
that'll suck, but it's not going to sink our entire lineup. And you're right, he's looked pretty good. I think one of the worries was he's just not going to be on the field towards the end of last season. He was only playing like 50, 60% of the snaps sometimes. And I don't have the exact number, but I believe I read he's playing like 78% of the snaps so far this year. So maybe this is the belated Kyle Pitts comeback that we
78.6%.
kept anticipating, and then
20% target share,
so
21%
once we gave
target
up,
rate. Not bad.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. No, so yeah, I'm not going to try to talk anyone out of Kyle Pitts, which that's huge progress for us. That we're both like, hey, this could be good. But yeah, Jawan Johnson is the main play for me as well, where it's first among tight ends in targets, third in target share, first in snap share. He's playing 97% of the snaps. Second in slot snaps among tight ends. 3 red zone targets, number 1 in air yards.
Oh, he's like literally top 5 in every statistic imaginable for a tight end.
Yeah,
every one of them.
Like, obviously, Bowers is already hurt, or at least banged up. Kittle's hurt.
McBride's playing with Kyler.
McBride's been solid, but not blowing anyone away. Like the people who are probably feeling happiest right now in their tight end selections are people who pick Tucker Kraft and people who pick Jawan Johnson.
Not to cut you off, he did give the rest of his
what do we
options. So Worthy, he's got Hollywood Brown, so he could play that card. I would definitely, again, I have to play Quentin Johnston right now. There's no way I'm sitting him. I guess you would know about Ibuka early, right? So
that's probably true.
I would probably play him over McLaurin. If for some reason he's out, I think I probably would still just go Johnston and McLaurin. What about you?
Yeah. My assumption is Sauce is going to mostly be on Evans. So if Ibuka is healthy, yeah, I'm definitely keeping him in the lineup. After that, I mean, this is hard because part of me is like, I don't really trust the receivers in Kansas City that much. And then the other part is, well, they're playing by Giants. So could work
And they
out
can't
well.
run the ball.
But yeah, I think, and they can't run the ball. I think their like longest run of the year is like 10 yards. So I still think though my lean is to stick with McLaurin. I still think, like I said, I still think
He's
that
still
offense is
getting
going to
the
be good at
volume.
least this week. Yeah. So yeah, like you said, I'm more in on Debo in that offense this week, but I'm not out on McLaurin by any means. So yeah, if you're gonna play three of them, I think he has to. I think McLaurin would have to be in there. And if Buka's out, I don't even think it's not even a consideration at all. Like I would definitely
No,
have
I'm with you.
McLaurin if
Yep.
Buka's out.
The other tight end I just wanted to mention real quick because I feel like I have to keep being the one to mention him, but Janu Smith saw another 4 targets. He's
No,
3,600. New England is dead last right now on DK versus tight ends.
it's nice.
And again, I think New England's going to get pressure. And when that happens, Rodgers does not like taking hits anymore. So he's going to
No,
throw it to the tight
he's not.
ends, the backs, it's going to be the
He's
dump
getting the ball. He's
balls.
getting that ball out. He does
Yep.
not want to get pancaked by any of those. Because Harold Landry is like tied for the league lead in sacks. It's 2 games in, but Landry can play. So yeah,
And for
Rodgers,
that
I'm with you.
matter,
I like
Harold
that play.
Fannin is also
Yeah,
right there for me still, too.
yeah. Like again, there's going to be weeks, and this probably isn't one of them, just because that Green Bay defense has been so good. Although not amazing against tight ends, but still, I just don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring opportunities. But there's going to be weeks where you can just throw like an Njoku Fannin double in there, and I'll be like, sure.
I actually think this would be one of the weeks I'm okay to do it. Just because Green
Maybe.
Bay gets so much
That
pressure.
is kind of the best way to attack Green Bay. I mean,
And Flacco, again, he's a million years old. He's getting rid of the ball
also
really quick
elderly
as well. And so I'm saying if they're getting pressure, and it's the same thing really we didn't talk about, but like Samson, Junk, like I could see one of those backs having a game where they catch like 7-8 passes. Like it would not shock me at all if, again,
the hard part for me is just talking myself, because again, I think there's an interesting Brown. Like again, you said the backs could catch the ball. We talked about Tillman. So there's like an interesting Brown at every position. It's just, the over-under on touchdowns in this game for them would have to be 1.5.
No.
As a
But
team.
Fannin,
So it's just
right, caught 5 more passes last week. He's basically right at
it's close.
3x, each time. And I just like, again, the volume that he's getting.
Right,
but
14 targets.
It's Juwan Johnson, right? That's pretty much the guy.
Juwan Johnson is the fire-up play. And then, if you want to go cheap to, get our Lamb Bijan combo in there and stuff, you could throw another tight end in, absolutely. But yeah, Juwan Johnson is the lock of the week for me at tight end.
All right, let's do defenses, and then we'll get out of here because it's no shock to anybody. We've already gone over an hour. Dion did forget to mention he had Tyreek Hill. I'm glad he scored a touchdown for you. Also glad for the one best ball team that I drafted on. Literally, I have one share of Tyreek Hill in best ball, and I'm really pissed about it. So, wish it'd be 0. I don't know what happened. The defenses, we're back this week where you could talk me into
we're going
paying for
cheap
the
again.
Falcons like you could. If I just had money laying around, but it's not a week for that because, again, I'd like to get Bijan and Lamb or Bijan and Puka and, like as many lineups as possible. So I'm going to go down, and the first defense for me is the Patriots, 2,600. Again, Pittsburgh. O-line's been struggling. Rodgers taking a lot of pressure. Doesn't like taking hits. Patriots have the most sacks in the NFL. And then I'm not afraid to roll with the Rams again at 2,400 versus Philly. I think the Rams win this game. I think their defense is for real. The one thing nobody's talking about, because Philadelphia is 2-0, and I get it, is the fact that Saquon's not really running the ball that well. Like their run game is not
so far.
Obviously,
he was phenomenal in that playoff game against the Rams.
He was. That was also a snow game. The Rams are playing their like fourth straight must-win game where Philadelphia had like one meaningful game in the last month. I'm just saying,
Sure.
like, I think it's a little different situations.
Th-
And I just think if the Rams get up, and I don't want to piss off the Eagles fans, and Hurts, though, gets into a passing situation, I have seen nothing, at least to start this season, that makes me feel comfortable thinking he's going to be able to, bring them back. And that's not just potential for defensive touchdowns and all kinds of shenanigans. So I really like that. You could also really talk me into the Raiders at 2,300 versus Washington. I know we said it's the Raiders, but they get pressure.
They have Max Crosby, so
They have Max Crosby, and I watched Marcus Mariota start games for almost an entire year in Atlanta. It can go good, but it can go real bad too.
right. I mean, yeah, I think that's the key here is we're not suddenly like doubling back and saying like, oh, everything we said about Mariota was a lie.
Right.
But when you're trying to choose a defense for $2,500 or less, you got to go like, all right, where is the opportunity? And it's like, well, do you want to bet on a Jets defense that hasn't looked alive for nearly a full calendar year? The Saints, I think there's some interest because they've seemed competent and it's Sam Darnold, but at the same
if
time,
it was at home and not on the road,
yes. If it was the same price point at the home, I would, and they were in New Orleans, I would be, yeah. Bengals is a little interesting just because it's Carson Wentz. The Bengals have had 2 picks in each of their games so far. So you can talk to me. Carolina's probably the only one where I'm just like, no, why would we do this? I'm kind of with you on the Rams. I picked them to win this week as well. I think that defense could give an Eagles offense that has not looked great some trouble. My favorite play though probably is just Texans, Jags. The danger there is Liam Cohen, like you said, has kind of upgraded this offense. But Trevor Lawrence has still been pretty shaky. I mean, the reason they lost last week is he's throwing
today, Joe, with
multiple picks.
Pretty shaky. They're not awful. It's like, oh, come on, Joe. Tell us what you really think. Come on, buddy.
But yeah, I mean, you look at this. Yeah, he has been bad. This Houston defense, they're 0-2, but it's like, all right, they gave up 14 points to the Rams. And then, yeah, they did blow it at the end of the game on Monday night, and they cost me some money in doing so because I would have won our weekly picks pool.
I forgot about that.
If they'd won that game. But again, that's a good offense you gave up 20 points to. They have 7 sacks, at least 3 in both games, so they're getting consistent pressure, which is not a surprise when you have one of the 2 or 3 best edge combos in the league. So that's probably the one I'm trying to get. But yeah, I'm not against this week just going maximize our money elsewhere and we'll throw in the Bengals or the Raiders and just go super cheap.
Any desire, like, because I mean, Dion again brings up, the Seattle, which I said it before the start of the season. I thought they were going to be one of the top defenses.
One of the better defenses.
Week 1, they didn't look great. Week 2 was more of like what I saw. Part of me does wonder is like Green Bay just going to score a gazillion points versus Cleveland. But the difference is last week again, there was just so many value plays. I didn't really mind not having anybody like 7,500 or higher in my lineup. This week, I'd like to get 2 or 3 of those guys if I can.
I want a couple in there.
That's where like every dollar counts, and that's why I'm with you. Like the Texans would be the lowest, our most expensive,
most expensive that I would probably.
And I mean, there's a chance, honestly, that I really do. I end up just throwing in the Bengals or the Rams at 2,400 because I want to get there with Cleveland and New Orleans because Cleveland really has been really good.
They're not.
Run.
It's still a solid defense, but they're just going to be put in so many negative situations. They're going to be on the field all day.
That's the situation.
So yeah, and then my 2 season-long leagues, I'm starting the Packers and the Seahawks in those 2 leagues. So I'm feeling good about those defenses regardless. I don't need to try to get in on a DFS throwing them in there for an extra $1,000. So
yeah, no,
I'll sit that one out.
Completely with you. All right, any other final thoughts before we skedaddle?
I would just say, when you set your lineups, double check them in the morning, and when you send in your weekly picks to your weekly picks pool, double check that you also selected the right team to win in every game. Otherwise, in your confidence pool, you might have put 11 points on the Giants to win Sunday night when you meant to put it on Kansas City. And so,
Oh,
so now it's like, I probably win if the Giants win, but most likely that doesn't happen. So,
wow. Man, I really need to start looking at this master when it's emailed
that's
out. But
I looked through it last night. I was like, all right, I want to see where Keith and I really had different opinions. And I was like, oh, what's this game where you put 10 on one team and I put 11 on the other? And I was like, oh no, what have I done?
have you listened to Simmons' podcast from the day? Because they spend like, I don't know, 5 minutes. He's trying to talk House into the Giants, and House just keeps going back to, you really think the Chiefs are going to be 0-3?
1-3.
And Bill's like, I mean, it could happen. He goes, but does that sound more likely than the Giants being 0-3? And finally, Simmons like, okay, you're right.
I was going to say, I don't think you're going to talk any Cowboys fan into that. You're going to have enough trouble talking most Giants fans into that. So,
It's just like
yeah.
a
So
week
double
after two
check
that
your
he
stuff,
took,
guys.
Fields over Allen. Remember, he picked the Jets over the Bills, which is, I'm like, all right, Bill, you
Don't
are
do
getting a
that.
little bit.
Yeah, that was one where.
But at
yeah,
least he called himself out for it. You know what I mean? Like the next week, he was,
I was
like,
gonna
I'm an
say,
idiot. He was like, I'm an idiot.
we lost some money on Justin Fields last week, but I did not lose anything on
No,
the
I was
Jets
not
versus the
betting for the
Bills.
Jets to cover, win, anything.
No.
But we appreciate you guys. Unfortunately, Kev can't do the GPP show tonight, and your boy's wiped. So we're gonna postpone it. Hopefully, we will be back next week. As you can see, Nico's he's been asleep since 5 minutes into the show, Joe. He's not entertained. But you can hit us up with any questions. I mean, we've told you before, the main reason we started doing the GPP show was because Kevin was doing it with us, because me and Joe are cash game guys. Like, we don't really do a lot of GPP. We're trying to learn and get
No.
better, but I also feel like if you don't have somebody that actually does a lot of lineups with it, just like I want to feel like I'm always giving you guys good advice. I feel pretty good about cash games. GPP, I don't know what I'm doing. So we're gonna figure it out though. I promise you. Just be patient with us. Apologize though for those who are looking forward to the show tonight. But Joe, I enjoyed it. I hope that the Giants do win.
That'd be great.
Not
I would
only
love that.
can you get your G-man to win, the Chiefs would be 0-3, but you'd be able to just tell everybody in the pick'em pool that's like, you're all morons. I know you saw that 11 point by the Giants. Like, what an idiot. It's like, who's the idiot now? So
that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping.
How do you like me now? But we'll be back next week with week 4. DraftKings cash game plays. Ooh, I can't talk to you. See, I told you, Joe, I'm tired. But we will see you guys soon. Have a good one.